Infrastructure Minister and technical team visit Molineux and Montmorris to conduct assessment for possible bypass road ahead of CDB visit. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details of the news for Friday, January 24th, 2020, I am Sherry Noel. Minister for Infrastructure, Honorable Gregory Boeing, on Friday led a team of engineers from his ministry, representatives from physical planning, along with residents of Montmorris and Molineux, to look at key areas outside of the fault line in Molineux to come up with the best possible alternative for a bypass route or new secondary road in the area. The visit was key as a proposal has to be put forward identifying the best solutions to the bypass roads to representatives of the Caribbean Development Bank who are expected on the island on Monday. The technical visit came after a meeting on Tuesday evening with residents of the area to update them on the rapid slippage on a section of the Molineux Main Road.
This alternative could be a component of the bypass road plus a new piece of road or entirely new concept with respect to the roads. That's why we have with us here people who know the area, our engineers, so that we can get a first proposal. The Caribbean Development Bank team will be visiting with us on Monday, so we must have a proposal to show to them because we have asked them for assistance with respect to the bypass roads.
The repairs to the main road remains under the UK SIF project. However, there is an immediate need to have a proposal in place for an alternative for the CDB's visit.
While we have $16 million US, which it appears will be totally insufficient at this point in time, we are concentrating on the bypass road to have a more safe and a friendly route for people traversing from the north to the south of the island. So we are here and the team will be visiting so that the people in the area could say, yes, this is a good road. We'll know who the owners are. So that in short order, we can find and complete the proposal.
Okay, so you're dealing strictly with the Molineux area or are you going through other points in Montmorris and so?
Well, the alternative must be other areas. Since we're going to bypass, we want somewhere you can start outside of the fault on the one side of the fault and end on the other side of the fault. So most likely it will be starting higher up in Molineux, going through Montmorris and coming out at a lower point in Montmorris. That's what we're looking at. So as I said, it could be a combination of some existing roadways plus new bits for the alternative route.
Civil engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Lyndon Bullen, told the GIS the technical visit is crucial and the inclusion of residents who are familiar with the area was key in them having a better understanding of the area.
We have been in consultation with residents of the area. We got a chance to hear some of their concerns, some of the suggestions, and so we're going to try to utilize that when we try to find solutions in terms of improving the roadway. We know it's a problem not only for the people in the community, but also for the road users as well. So it helps us to optimize the solutions that we can propose in terms of alleviating the stresses on the street of Montmorris, the bypass, and possibly finding alternative routes to bypass the Molineux area.
Bullen also used the opportunity to update on the progress of procuring materials to upgrade the Montmorris road, especially in areas that are deemed treacherous.
Right now we're doing something more for emergency nature. So we're going to see as best as possible how much works can be done within that period to clear the traffic problems we have in at Montmorris. So within the next 3 months we will see a lot of works being done. We actually started acquiring some posts for guardrails. There are areas we see where we can widen. We can change the type of drains in the areas from box drains to slipper. And these are some of the works that we plan on taking on within the next few weeks.
Junior Phillips, resident of Montmorris and builder by profession, who has knowledge of the Molineux area where the fault has occurred that is causing rapid land movement, has given off his time to take the team on a tour of possible areas that can be used for the bypass.
Knowing the terrain in Montmorris and the particular area that we're dealing with, some people are suggesting that an easy fix could be done by cutting the area by Charlie's Bar and doing another road, which would not make any sense because the complete hill from Molineux all the way up to Montmorris by Mr. Leo Dowden is a gravel hill and all the way around to Molineux. So to find an alternative route through that, it definitely would have to be through Montmorris. So I would like to take the fellas on a visit to the top, because we already know the bottom, so they could see the complete terrain that we're dealing with and know that if we touch that gravel hill for any short route, we'll be opening a can of worms.
As a contractor / builder, you would have constructed homes. Well, we normally call that area for the plateau, and that is a particular area that you are going to take them to. What can you say about the soil type and so?
Well, I built 3 houses and it's all gravel. All the foundations are basically had to be designed to fit on the gravel bed, and hence my knowledge is firsthand as to what's in the area.
Residents are urged to stay away from the fault area and await the conclusion of the geotechnical studies, which will give a clear indication as to the cause of the movement. Moving along, 250 Grenadians will be employed with the Royalton Grenada Resort and Spa when it commences operations March 1st, 2020. The hotel chain is staging a 3-day job fair in Grandance, giving Grenadians the opportunity to be screened and interviewed for various positions. The Royalton is the latest addition to the hotel chain in Grenada, with 269 luxury suites and a prime beachfront location. It will be managed and operated by Blue Diamond Resorts as part of a new strategic alliance with Rex Resorts, the former owners and operators of the Grenadian Hotel. The job fair started on Thursday and will end on Saturday.
Right now we are offering 500 positions because we are going to open in March 1st, and then we are going to split this hiring process in 2 phases. We are going to hire 250 people starting in February 1st, and then we are going to hire another 250, and as the season goes up we will be hiring more people. So we are looking forward to have a very good partnership with Grenadian people and to start making a very good and strong relationship with the country.
Corporate Organizational Development Manager Blanca Guerrero Ramirez says she anticipates the growth of each employee through talent development training.
The past 2 days have been great. We have witnessed a lot of talented Grenadian people coming with impressive resumes, and some of them have hospitality experience and some of them do not have hospitality experience. But we truly believe in talent development, we are a company that map the talent, and we have a very strong path to develop our people to better positions. And one of our goals in human resources is to make sure that we can send them to other properties in other countries with better positions. So this is a strategy that comes for talent and culture. This is how we name our HR area, and we are having a lot of success. So we are very excited to include Grenadian people in this concept and maybe see them in other properties with better positions soon.
90 applicants were successful on Thursday. Livon Pierre, Mary Wise and Akisha Benjamin are all thankful for the opportunity to be employed with the Royalton Resort and Spa.
I'm always open to the negative and the positive, so whether or not I didn't get approved, I would have just find something else to move on to, try to empower myself to develop myself into the tourism industry. At the Royalton, I'll be a butler at the Diamond Club. I'm pretty much excited. This helped me to empower myself, be more confident, and achieve great things.
Well, it feels good to be coming back to the Royalton and to be working. I feel real good and exciting to work with them again. That would be good coming to work here as a waitress.
Any open vacancies they have, I'm willing to apply or fill any vacancies. I have 4 years experience in the hotel industry. I work as a laundry attendant for 4 years. I feel great to see a lot of young people here today getting an opportunity to explore their talents.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
8 p.m. sharp. 8 p.m. sharp. Saturday, January 25th at the Sutters Bus Terminal. It's the final of the National Celebrations Comedy Independence Calypso Monarch Competition 2020. 11 artists have been selected to challenge the reigning monarch. Show us the sour support.
Bringing the oil rum, the song rum,
spices. Admission free. Come out in your numbers and witness for yourself. Will Supper Supper hold on to his reign? Or will Rootsman Kelly, Teacher Eddie, Hawks, Stunner, Zena, Gun, Katura, The Reporter, Denson, Professor Shaggy, or Royalty rise to the occasion? Only time will tell. Remember the date, Saturday, January 25th, 8 p.m. Suttes Burst Terminal. It's the final of the Independence Calypso competition.
Welcome back. The First Caribbean International Bank continues to embark on raising awareness with the Grenada Cancer Society and the Pink Ribbon Society. On Wednesday, the bank donated 43,500 EC dollars that was raised from the Walk for the Cure. This is to enable the organizations to spread awareness for cancer. On September 25, 2019, the Walk for the Cure was launched. This activity is done annually. Country Manager of the CIBC, Mr. Nigel Oliver, in his brief remarks, said that the end of 2019 program does not signify an end to cancer awareness.
I will hasten to say thank you to everyone who participated in this year's activity. I think the records show that we had about 400 persons walk in, and we had we were able to raise $43,500, which will go to the Cancer Society and the Pink Ribbon Society by way of a presentation later on in the program, to allow them to continue to work towards improving that space in terms of early detection, prevention, cure, and education. Today's handover, while Linda suggested that it is a cause to celebrate and marks the end of period in terms of what we have done for this last year's program. We should not allow it, though, to mark the end of our drive and focus to improve and educate, prevent, detect, and treat cancer. Instead, it should set in motion for the efforts for us to be able to forge forward and redouble the efforts in terms of how well we're fighting cancer.
$29,000 was donated to the Cancer Society. Earl Charles from the Grenada Cancer Society expressed his gratitude to the bank. He assured them that the money will be used in an efficient manner.
With regard to the donation we have just received, I just want to assure the bank that we are planning in a very detailed way in terms of how we spend whatever funds we receive from the public. In that regard, with regard to the assistance to patients, we are trying to coordinate assistance to patients with the Pink Ribbon and the Ministry of Health to ensure that assistance goes to where it is most needed and it will be most effective.
The Pink Ribbon Society was given $14,500. Frederica Cummins from the Pink Ribbon Society is also grateful for the contribution.
I would like to say a sincere thank you to First Caribbean Bank, the management and staff, especially the team that organized the Walk for the Cure. We are happy to be involved. They have involved us in the walk and to help us with getting some of the donations that was raised. It will go a long way to helping patients with cancer. As you know, cancer is a very expensive disease to treat, and it will go a long way to those who cannot afford.
And with this, we come to the end of the National Report for Friday, January 24th, 2020. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sherry and Noel, thanking you for viewing.
I love my Grenada, my homeland forever. Sing the chorus louder, tell them about Grenada, the land of my grandfather. She will always
Pure Grenada, the small but beautiful and unspoiled tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique is located in the Caribbean with a population of just about 100,000 people. Led by Eric Matthew Gary, Grenada got its independence in 1974 from Great Britain and had 7 prime ministers since independence. Keith Mitchell is the country's sitting prime minister and is also the longest-serving prime minister in Grenada's history. He is described as one of the most visionary, respected, and accomplished leaders in the world. The large majority of Grenadians are happy with his leadership, and in 3 national elections, the people have voted and gave his party an unprecedented clean sweep at the polls. Prime Minister Mitchell has guided Grenada through difficult periods such as the rebuilding process after the passage of Hurricane Ivan in 2004, and the rebuilding of the economy after 5 years of the NDC administration that ran 2008 to 2013. During that period, the NDC government became bankrupt and was unable to manage the economy. They had to resort to selling multiple government properties to the NIS to pay salaries of public workers. At no time during that period was any public officer able to get an increase in salary or increments owed to them. The NDC government was plagued with infighting and scandal. After just 2 years in office, the NNP government paid public officers increases and increments owed to them for the period 2009 to 2012 to the tune of $58 million. An additional 10% increase in salaries was paid for the period 2017 to 2019. A total of over $110 million was paid during these periods. Officers have been relieved from financial uncertainty as they have been receiving salaries on time every month thereafter. With support from social partners, government was also able to successfully implement a 3-year homegrown structural adjustment program. As a result of this remarkable leadership and ability to manage the economy, the World Bank in 2018 recognized Prime Minister Mitchell as the most outstanding finance minister in the region. The country continues to move on an impressive upward trajectory and is promoted as a model destination and economy not merely in a regional but international basis, as investors have been finding Grenada to be a safe, peaceful and excellent climate to do business. But how is the NNP government seen locally? The party has been branded by the majority as a party for all that has transformed the economic landscape of the country while providing for the social needs of ordinary people, especially the poor and vulnerable. This social approach of the government has been attacked and labeled by the NDC for the needy and greedy. Although this labeling has angered many Grenadians across party lines and has attempted to sow seeds of discord among various socio-economic groupings, the NNP has remained steadfast in its philosophy and continues to support the poor and vulnerable. Over the last 7 years, over $70 million was spent on house repair. Additionally, 353 housing units were distributed to families throughout Grenada, and 647 more are currently under construction. Hundreds of scholarships are granted every year as a strategy to lift families out of poverty and to empower them. That is why the government spends more than $50 million every year to support Grenadian students studying at universities in Grenada and abroad. As a means of providing further support to families, government paid out over $17 million through the SEED program to assist parents to support their children's education and to meet the basic needs of senior citizens. The government plans to further expand its social programs in 2020 so more people can benefit. To be able to sustain these social programs while at the same time investing in major capital projects such as road enhancement and community development initiatives, government has adopted a multifaceted approach to raise revenue. One such means is the Citizens by Investment program, which has led to significant investment opportunities. This has had a ripple effect, resulting in thousands of jobs for locals and increased business for local companies. It has also reduced the need for increased taxes. In addition to the many projects already started, such as the Silver Sands Hotel, which opened about a year ago, at least 4 more hotels are earmarked to start construction work in St. Patrick's and St. David's. Projects that will rebound to significant benefits for people in the rural parishes, including farmers, fishermen, and the unemployed. This multi-pronged approach to economic development can explain why the government, on returning to the office, has been able to reduce unemployment figures from over 40% under the NDC in 2013 to 15.1% in the first quarter of 2019. Government's focus is now on developing a comprehensive training program to prepare people for thousands of jobs that are forthcoming. The government must be credited for a huge reduction in the national debt. During the 2008 election campaign, the NDC accused the NNP of incurring high national debt, but the NNP has always argued that the debt, which was incurred mainly for major government projects, is not the real issue. The party has explained that the most important issue regarding the national debt is the country's ability to repay its debts. With this philosophy in mind, government was able to successfully reduce the debt to GDP from 108% to 55.8% in just 7 years. This outstanding achievement provides additional room for government to create far more opportunities for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite-Martinique. On November 19th, during his annual budget speech, Prime Minister Mitchell announced a $1.46 billion budget. One of the biggest focus of the government in this new budget will be to improve healthcare services. Already, millions have been committed to a national health insurance initiative, and JIPA, a US-based company led by a Grenadian, Dr. Castroned, was contracted to lead the process. Responding to a recent video created by a foreign company, coordinated and marketed by opposition elements in Grenada, with the intention to destroy the reputation of Prime Minister Mitchell and to destabilize the government, key supporters of the ruling party say that it is unfortunate that opposition elements in the country will choose to put selfish ambitions and party politics before country, going out of the way to discredit the country internationally with lies and rumors. But Prime Minister Mitchell says his focus now is on building Grenada and providing opportunities for the people, and as a result, he will not allow himself to be drawn into an opposition's strategy aimed at derailing the success of the country. Despite the local party politics in Grenada, the tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite-Martinique continues to be a shining star in the region and a beacon of hope for the economic prosperity of the Caribbean region.
She wanna spice and rock. Say welcome to the rock. She love this spice and rock. Give me oh the rock. She wanna spice and rock. Say welcome to the rock.
The Spring Garden water system serves two constituencies, St. Andrew Southeast and St. Andrew Southwest. This facility, constructed under NAWASA's capital development portfolio, is geared towards improving storage capacity and addressing water quality concerns. This beautiful structure before us boasts of a sedimentation tank, water tank, operators' quarters, and storage room. This is supported by a pipe distribution network from the tank to supply water to existing individuals' homes with a daily water production at 250,000 gallons. What is important to note is that this was achieved under NAWASA's Capital Investment Program. Through this program, NAWASA acceded to the call of the government of Grenada for investment in the island's water sector by investing the $12 million debt servicing by the government of Grenada to capital development projects.
Now that we have this, it's a great thing for the community and other surrounding.
I feel happy, I feel good. Remember for Valley, because like when rain coming, the waters get dirty, just cut it off. And it should be a problem for us, but now, thanks to NAWASA, we don't have that problem anymore.
Yes, it's a very nice project. We used to go and collect water in the river and pipe stands by the side of the road. and everything, but now it's different. Everybody have a little water home. It will make a good difference because it's up on the top of a hill, and then we get in everything that we want down the road.
Internally,
Good morning, Grenada. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Isle Radio, broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube. A very special good morning to you. Remember to like the live, share the live, get everybody involved in the conversation. It is a beautiful, beautiful Monday morning on the inside. It's been a long and quiet weekend, but of course we know it never stays quiet for long in Grenada, right? So we're hoping to get a little bit of excitement this week, but good excitement, right, Nazim? Good excitement. All right, now in studio with me this morning I have the representatives from NOASA, who will by themselves introduce themselves. We thought it was absolutely necessary for them to be here with us this morning because sometimes, as I say here over and over, we tend to not seek information, and we tend to listen to a lot of misleading propaganda, if that's the best way to put it. So I think it's good when I can speak on it, but it's also better when they can speak for themselves, right? So we have in studio with us two representatives from NOASA who will just give us not a little bit, a lot of information, because there's a lot of information to give, right? So good morning. We'll start with the gentleman. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning to the listening public, and it's a great pleasure of joining Hard Talk this morning. My name is Dave Marquez, attached to the Planning and Development Department, engineering assistant.
Okay, great. And well,
a familiar face. Right, so Jamila Samuel, NOASA's communications supervisor.
All right, wonderful. Now, we have a lot to talk about because there has been a lot going on with NOASA in terms of developing our water system and in terms of dealing with a lot of the challenges that you guys have been facing recently, and really getting people to understand what those challenges are, you know. So what we want to start with, which I think a lot of people are most concerned about, is the new tariff. Even more than the Molyneux issue. I think people are a bit concerned about the new tariff and not really understanding what it is and how the rates apply. So I'm really hoping that you could break it down for our listeners so they can further understand what that is.
All right, so thank you to all your listeners on radio and those that are joining us online. Honorable Gregory Boring, who is NOASA's line minister, Minister of Public Utilities, announced during his budget presentation a rate increase or tariff reform for NOASA, which comes into effect from January of 2020. As a statutory body, NOASA generates its income through water and wastewater services, which enables, of course, capital development projects. Over the past years, since NOASA's first rate increase, which was in 2010, NOASA's existence was from 1992. And for 18 years, we never had a rate increase. In 2010, the government of Grenada decided that in order for NOASA to, be on its own in terms of having capital development projects, a rate increase was necessary, and they accepted our recommendations. Thereafter, since the last tariff reform, NWASA was able to have internally generated funds of $37.8 million spent on capital development projects. And we've seen projects like the Spring Garden Water Treatment Plant, Mount Agnes Water Treatment Plant, Mount Rule, a new system for Mount Rule. That's just, we also had co-funding with the GIZ for Blaze, which is Grenada's first official rainwater harvesting system. So over those years, within the last rate increase, we were able to do enough projects, basically from NWASA's coffers. So it was basically our consumers that would have paid for the development of these projects for our consumers. NWASA recognized on a whole that grant funding cannot improve and sustain the water sector as we would like it, to do so. So in order for us to do that, we have to improve the capacity of our water systems to meet the growing demand for water and wastewater services. NWASA will have to embark on a $178 million investment over the next 10 years. And this was the driving force behind having a new tariff reform. Following an open and a competitive tendering process, Raftalis Communication, a consulting firm out of the United States, was successful, and they were contracted to review NWASA's previous rates, look at NWASA's operations, and recommend appropriate tariff to achieve a sustainable financial plan going forward. The assignment was completed in 6 months, and the report was something that opened up our eyes, even though we knew what would come. The report basically says that NWASA would run a deficit in 2020. NWASA would not be able to meet the debt service coverage requirement of its lenders. And where it came ticklish for us as employees and also for the consumers that we serve, we would have no cash in our fund balance by 2022. So their final conclusion was that the previous rates that we had was certainly not sufficient. Based on this recommendation, our board of directors, under the support of our general manager, Mr. Christopher Husbands, were able to go to the government of Grenada and say, hey, this is what we are recommending. And when you have a boss through the government that understands, the need for the development of the water sector, when they themselves live in communities, ministers live in communities that are challenged, they were able to support NWASA's cause. And in supporting NWASA's cause, we were able to have a new water and sewage rate structure, which we believe will be able to make the reality of $178 million over the next 10-year period for project development a reality. So our new tariff structure is very simple. Basically, for domestic consumers consuming less than 2,800 gallons of water, your previous rate was $8.10. That's the variable rate per 1,000 gallons of water. It now stands at $9.48. So when you look at it, it's basically just $1.38 increase. The previous fixed monthly charge, which is a service charge, was $10.80. It has now risen to $12.64. Consumers consuming 2,801 to 5,500 gallons of water, the previous rate, the variable rate, was $13.50. The new rate stands now at $15.80. And consumers consuming greater than 5,500 gallons of water, the previous rate was $20.25. That's a variable rate per 1,000 gallons of water, and it now stands at $23.70. As I've mentioned, our basic or the fixed monthly charge was $10.80. It has now risen to $12.64. For our non-domestic consumers, so that's our commercial consumers, consuming less than 2,800 gallons of water through to over 100,000 gallons of water, the previous variable rate was $21.35. It now stands at $29.35. But the fixed monthly charge has been amended. So consumers with less than 2,800 gallons of water, there's an increase of from $15 to $20.62. Consumers with 2,801 to 20,000 gallons of water, $33.75 to $46.39. Consumers 20,001 to 100,000 gallons of water. $140 was the previous rate. It now stands at $192.42. And consumers consuming greater than 100,000 gallons of water. The previous fixed monthly charge was $550, and it now stands at $762.79. Our sewer rates for domestic and commercial remains. So at domestic, it was 1/3, and for non-domestic, it remains at 2/3. And persons have been asking, yes, Nawasa, you're saying that this is what you want to do. You're increasing the rates. What would that do for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique? So this new tariff reform will enable capital investment in the value of $178 million to be financed. So basically, my money, your money, would be able to make this development a reality for the next 10 years. Right. The largest proportion of this investment goes towards pipeline upgrades, and we know persons are clamoring, I'm tired of passing and see a bus pipe, I'm tired of you saying it's an 8 distribution network. So $85 million will be spent on the development or the upgrading of the pipeline distribution network. $25 million will be spent on production facilities such as treatment plants, having them upgraded or replaced. And when we speak about that, I want persons to understand Nawasa has age systems. So some water treatment plants have been in existence of 50 years. Right. And in 50 years, let us say you had 1,000 consumers. 50 years later, you have 40,000. Yeah. And you are expecting that water system to do the same work, to supply all these additional, heads. So we are saying that through this investment, through a tariff reform, $25 million will make some magic for us. $45 million has been allocated for smart metering. I know many times consumers call, I notice there's a leak on my property. Nawasa, what is my bill? Last month was this. You will be able through a smart meter to go and see for yourself. You'll be able to go on that smart meter, look and see, oh, last month I consumed 20 gallons of water. This month I consume 40. Right. You could able to do your calculation. So if Nawasa comes and give you a bill of $500 and you say no, Nawasa, based on what I'm seeing. Yeah. So this makes the job a lot easier. We're going to do the mapping of all water and sewage facilities, a SCADA system, and the move to electronic billing. We know persons have been clamoring, I want to receive my bill via email and a customer information service. I want to be able to pay my bills online. All of these, our current system is not able to support this. Yeah. So a move to a new customer information system would make all this a reality. And $23 million will be spent on the development of a wastewater sewage system for the entire town of Grenville. So it's a lot in the pipeline that a new tariff reform, makes possible. And in addition to that, we also have to be mindful that out of that $178 million, commencing this year, we have two major projects. The Green Climate Fund, where $125 million will be expended on the development of the water sector. We're going to have 10 new water storage tanks that will be constructed, coupled with the upgrading of the water distribution network throughout the entire island. Projects will commence in July of 2020 and will be completed by July of 2025. And what is important to note is that persons always say, Nawasa, you're talking up to us about having storage, but you're not having storage yourself. Well, this $125 million will ensure that we have 10 water storage tanks, available in critical areas. So the consumers from, in Hopevale and Laborie and those consumers that always clamor for better quality, better this, more water, because of the Green Climate Fund, $125 million, we're going to have new dams for Les Avocats, new dams for PTA Tang. We're going to have upgraded systems for the Maribo water system, line replacement, a Homer. We can look at the western side. We see Dr. Bell. We go in St. Max. We're going to have new system, new tank and associated pipeline for Digo Peace. We also have the new groundwater program, redrilling and rehabilitation of existing wells in the south, a Montrouge storage tank for the Montrouge. We know Grand Anse is the south of the island, and Carriacou and Petite Martinique will not be left out of the mix as well. And then also we have the UK SIF project, where $40 million investment commencing in September of 2020, and we'll see significant work in the wastewater sector by 2021. We're going to have the expansion of the Concord water system to the south of the island, and what this this does for NOWASA is that it ensures that Annandale water system, which is stretched at the moment, supplying to the entire south, will be used to augment the supply to other communities, other areas, other water systems. And we're going to have the upgrading of the sewage network in Lagoon Road and to incorporate the Tongue of St. George. So overall, within the next 10 years, we are expecting $178 million will be spent on capital development project for Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martinique, a reality through a new tariff reform.
Wonderful. Well, that was a lot of information to me.
So at least persons are aware, and it makes our life a lot easier. We have our Facebook page where the new rates and everything has been posted, so persons can go on. It's on our website as well, so you can. Don't be a stranger. All around, you can get information relating to our new tariff reform.
Absolutely. Now, I always say here on the program that in order for development, it takes everybody. It's not just an isolated issue of NOWASA dealing with this or Grenlec dealing with the other or whatever it may be. It takes every single one of us. And this just goes to show that we all need to play our part. So 10 years ago, the rates that we paid was sufficient to deal with the population that we had, because I mean, now we're talking about a 10 years worth of more people, and you want to be able to have better water supply. We always complain about that. Oh, we're not getting water at this time. We're not getting water at that time. But what we fail to realize is that while the population grows, as you say, the storage system that NOWASA has, it hasn't grown as it to really keep up with the growth in the population. So we have to expect, and it's not like we're getting more rain.
Exactly. I mean, the reality of climate change is real.
Yeah.
You know, and and then all persons also have to consider this as well. While our rates remain the same, we cannot tell a supplier to keep his pipes at that level.
Yeah.
So, you know, okay, 10 years ago, you may have paid Marcus, let us say, $100, just going off my head, $100 for a length of pipe.
Yeah.
Half inch, 2 inch. You know, let's say $100. I'm just going minimum bare. That's not the accurate rate. That was 10 years ago. We are expecting, 10 years later, it has moved to $300.
Yeah.
But we can't increase just so because, we have to understand, water is a social good. So that is why we were able, 10 years later, to go to government and say, hey, we want to make this work, but we need your support. And you know what? I would also like to highlight, when NOWASA was able to do the rate increase 10 years ago, it is because the government of Grenada would have cleared its debt of $12 million to NOWASA. And in doing that, we were able to use that $12 million. We didn't just take it and say, okay, well, our account's looking pretty, We used that same $12 million that was paid out by the government of Grenada in outstanding bills to have water projects. So within that period, we had at least 4 water systems that basically were constructed. So development comes at a cost. And we ask, when we look at the increase, in some cases, it's just $1 and cents. So it's a small fee for what we want to do, but I'm grateful for the support of the general public. Persons asked me the other day, I went to an interview, and it was like, what's the feedback? The feedback was positive. I was really expecting, once it was announced, there's going to be this backlash. But persons understand, because the persons were called, they say, listen, it's going to be a little more for me, but if I want to have a better quality of water, I think you're tired of hearing, the rain comes and my water is turbid. Just support NOWASA, going forward, because at the end of the day, that is what we aim. We're aiming for a better water supply network. We are aiming for development of the water supply network for not just for me, but it's overall Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martinique.
Well, I'll be honest. I live in a house where it's just me and my kids. I have a daughter and a son. And for the length of time that we've been living alone, my water bill has never gone over $20. Ever.
You see?
It's always been $20 and under. So it just goes to show that we really aren't paying a lot when it comes to water usage. And I'll be honest, because I do my washing, showers, cooking, all of these things.
Right. Just to chip in on this. No. The meters you're using now is mechanical meters. And most of them are in the ground about 20 odd years. And over a period of time, you got wear and tear on the system. So most likely your meter may be under registering. I could tell you that. Coming in with smart meters, you get customers will be accurately billed, right? And we have seen it throughout the Caribbean. And modern technology now makes the use of smart meters.
Yeah.
By 10 years from now, between 5 and 10 years from now, you would never find a volumetric meter. I could tell you that. Right. And going back to your demand and supply, most of those treatment plants are 60, 70 years old.
Right.
The pipes are practically too small to meet your demand downstream.
Right. Yes.
Right. And in the days those guys installed those pipes, maybe lack of equipment, those pipes are very shallow, heavier vehicles on the road. Most of our pipes pass on the road, so you're susceptible to breakage and damage. So with that GCF project, Green Climate Project that Jamila spoke about, there will be lots of pipelines replacement to accompany those storage tanks.
And it's throughout the entire island.
Throughout
the entire island.
Grenada, Carriacou,
and Peter Martinique. Carriacou and Peter Martinique would not be left out. So it's throughout the entire island.
I really expected there to be a lot more chatter about the new tariffs, but I think a lot of Grenadians really understand the benefit of this upgrade and why it's necessary for us to have these increased tariffs.
Just a point here. Now, I traveled, and in some countries, even in South American countries, people get water 4 hours a day. I've seen it. I've been in it. Right? We actually in Grenada here, we have 98% of the population covered with potable water. Right? We're looking for reliability and efficiency to get you up to a 24. And I could say most of our systems actually runs you between 16 to 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Perfect.
All right. So I hope the people who need to be listening, because that's usually generally the problem, you have these programs for informational purposes, and the people who generally need the information don't even tune in. But I'm hoping that this information reaches who it needs to reach, because we definitely do need to understand that if you have, let's say, a 5-gallon tank to feed a population of 1,000 people, and in 10 years you have 3,000 people and the same 5-gallon tank, that definitely can't work.
It can't work. It can't work.
And most companies now are producing efficient facilities for households, like a toilet before we use 5 gallons to flush. Now
Exactly.
Use 2.5
No,
gallons.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
even the washing machines,
very
and all
efficient.
of these things. Yeah. So it's definitely important. So I hope that the people really understand the new tariff and how it applies to them and their usage. And of course, as you said, there's Facebook. I honestly did not know that you guys had a Facebook page until going through Facebook one day, and I see all of these pop-ups. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna click on it and see what's going on, only to realize y'all have a whole Facebook page.
Very active, darling.
Very active.
And that's
whole Facebook page.
very active.
Wow. And
As I say, whatever we don't put is because we don't know.
Right.
If we don't know, we can't put. But as long as we know, whatever hour of the night it's up.
And of course, you guys have, well, this one I definitely know, a WhatsApp.
Yes.
Where you can report leakage or a break in a pipe.
Yes, so 459-6064 anytime you can report, and someone will be able to take the information, pass it on to the relevant department. We're also on Instagram. We're also on Twitter. So if you miss something on Facebook, bet your last bottom dollar you're going to get it on Instagram. We also on Twitter. So, we ask persons, and our website is very active. So whatever information, so if you want to know everything about the race, you can go, you can download, everything is right there. So we're on the top of this thing when it comes to getting the information out. We're on top of that.
Absolutely, that's great. Now let's move to the mall in air issue, because I know a lot of people are trying to figure out what's happening, what is NOASA's plan, what have you guys done, and what you plan to do in the event that the slippage goes further than you expect it to.
Mr. Marquez, that's his area.
He's
the man on the ground. He's been working since last year.
We've been working on it since last year, as Jamila spoke about. We actually have 3 proposals, 3 plans in place for it. The first one, which is now in effect, that there is a temporary line that has not yet commissioned, right, to effect that operation. I just want people out there to know that the water that comes to St. George's comes all the way from Concord, on the western side. Concord through Bushejo, Molyneux, Grand Mall, and the surrounding environs. Now there's a 12-inch diameter pipe that leaves Concord, comes all the way down. And in the event that line break under the Molyneux landslip, we have solution 1 in place, which is we actually run a smaller pipe, which is a 6-inch pipe, to have up and ready in such a quick response time. We have all in our powers here now to just sit there and be waiting. The final connection was made on Friday.
Okay.
And we are just waiting, but in the interim we are waiting, we are planning another solution which most likely, which is in the tune of about $600,000. And I could explain to you further here, which is taking that pipeline from Molyneux, around that corner there, up to the hill. There is an antenna up Montmorris and back down to Montmorris Junction, which is going above the slippage. Now, in doing that, there is a lot of consequences with the distribution network. The people at Bushiju will be experiencing very high pressures in the pipeline, so we have to make some changes to the network because you're coming from at least 65 meters, 213 feet, and going up to 600, between 500 to 600 feet above that antenna.
Right.
You have to get more driving force to send that water up to that hill. So your pressures at your lower point will be increased.
Right.
So then we don't want to go damaging people's faucets and people facilities in the house. So we have to put in pressure reducing valves. In addition to that, we have a very sensitive PVC pipeline along Perseverance, which we all know PVC, yes, they can take the pressure, but over a period of time when it's loading, you'll have cyclic loading, which may cause rupture in the pipes. So that we have to do our careful consideration and look at replacing that pipe as well. And the hazard in replacing that pipe, this pipe actually runs along another landslip at the Perseverance.
Oh, Lord.
So that is one of the challenging solutions in this secondary, this temporary solution too.
So it's a lot more than just removing the pipe from the slippage and relocating it to somewhere else. There's so much more. And this is why these sessions are very important to get people to understand really deep down what's happening.
Now the third one, which is going to be very expensive, is that now when we do our hydraulic analysis, the pipeline at Bushiju, what you call, people say iron pipe, is ductile iron pipe, which will withstand that pressure. But however, if we want to keep the PVC pipe in the ground, we may have to put a pumping station in Molyneux to pump that water over the hill, which you have to run 24 hours. And you know the cost of electricity. So we practically rule out the third one. You have to make use of the energy of the driving force, which you have coming all the way from Concord Falls to get you over the hills by gravity, which is possible.
Wow. That is a lot.
It is.
That is a lot. And
and in addition to that, implementation, yes, we have to, the proposal is in, get the approval, right? Which, I mean, now I saw the point in time in the 2020 CapEx, didn't budget for that. However, we budget against mitigation. As we look all over the islands, we see there's a lot of potential landslips where we have pipes. We are now working with the Ministry of Works in conjunction with that. We may have to replace some of those pipes as well.
Right. So, in the event that the proposed plan 2 doesn't work out quite the way that you wanted to, how possible is it, or how difficult is it for plan 3 to come into fruition?
Well, that's pumping, right? And it's the most expensive cost, right? Now, let me give you proposed solution 1 is what we have on the ground now. Now, the landslips, I will have to wait for the expert to come in, geotechnical expert, because you have a 30-meter rock over operator's head. I don't have guys going in and work there immediately, right? So you could look at between a day and a half, right? And I mean, we're going to push the work to get it because we understand water, right? Because these treatment plants supply between 14 to 16 million gallons a month, and you're looking at 75% of that water goes to the town of St. George.
Yeah.
And we are now in the peak tourist season. You have schools, you have restaurants.
Yeah. Wow.
And some may call and ask the question, oh yes, Annadale is there. But remember, you have the ever so expanding south of the island, which Annadale is presently doing now.
Yes.
Right? And that is putting additional strain and which may not be able to go further.
Yes.
So in the interim, with solution 1, that we gonna have to have our water trucks on standby, and maybe have local water trucks, guys.
Well, I'm happy that Mr. Marquez would have mentioned water trucks, because we kind of trying to let people to not even, while the water truck is a solution that NOWASA would have to explore in terms of using. What we have released very early is for consumers to understand now more than ever the need for having their own personal storage.
Right.
And gone are the days where we can just open up your tap, and especially in a critical situation as this, in the Molineux area, and we could go to bed tonight, get up in the morning, and hear the entire area is crumbled. Yeah. It could take NOWASA weeks, it could take us days, it could take us an hour. We have no idea, because we don't know the likely impact. Right. Yes, the guys have been on the ground. The guys, have been assessing. We had a geologist was Mr. Hugh Thomas. I was looking at one of the pictures that y'all put up earlier. He was on the ground, and so we have an idea. But the reality is that Mother Nature has its own ideas as well. So the reality is that what we want person now more than ever to think storage, and our regular call is for 3-day storage representing 35 gallons of water per person per day. But what we are asking consumers in Molineux, Cherry Hill, Happy Hill, Grand Mall, Fontenoy, the entire town of St. George, River Road in particular as well, is let's not think 3-day storage. Because what happens if the guys are not able to access that area at all? What happens if the temporary bypass that the line that is already there, God forbid, when the slide occurs, it goes, then we are back to not even a solution. We're back to, So what we asking persons now more than ever is the need to have storage to last you at least 1 week, 7 full days of 35 gallons of water per person per day. Because the reality also is, remember, our water tankers will not be exclusive to those communities. We can't have exclusive supply to those communities, because there are other communities that depend on the water truck as well. And what happens, remember, that water goes through the entire town of St. George, the hospitals, all of that you have to consider. So in a critical situation like this, then we have to focus on health centers, we have to focus on a hospital, we have to focus on schools. So what we ask in persons is please have your own personal storage, whereby you will be able to at least have 35 gallons of water per person per day for at minimum 3 days. So what we're asking you, if you've never had a water storage tank, please think water storage tank right now.
But I want you to stress that a little more. Minimum
right now, and 1 week.
And I've said it, I spoke about it last week.
1 week.
Minimum.
So
it doesn't mean, because a lot of people
don't just have 1 week beer
per person. That NOWASA said, well, store water for 3 days, and after 3 days I didn't have no water.
No.
It says
this minimum. And then also days. Remember we say per person per day. So if it is you have 5 persons in your household, 35 by 5 for 35 by 5 times 3. Because what happens was, okay, I store for 3 days, yes, but is your storage adequate enough to meet the needs of the persons within your home? And the reality is a minimum. So the minimum we're saying is 1 week. So we're expecting you to have more than a 1 week supply.
Absolutely.
And now, as I said, I'm begging, I'm clamoring, because we don't want a situation of the slippage is worse than what we anticipate, and our guys, the reality, NOWASA is big on health and safety. There is no way we would compromise the lives of our employees in a situation like this. So what we ask in persons, please, pretty please, ensure that you have storage at minimum 1 week. 1 week.
Something I wanna ask, and maybe it's a suggestion or whatever you'd like to put it as. I know we have a lot of our hardware people selling tanks and so on, but is it a possibility in the near future that NOWASA would get into the business of providing, these kind of services to the people, and maybe even remove it from or attach the payment to their bills or whatever it may be? And I'm thinking about persons who aren't able to get up today and say, okay, I'm going to Purcell and buying a tank or something like that. Maybe it's just a suggestion, something to consider for these people, and just attach it to their bills. So at the end of the month, you know, you had to pay NOASA $50 because you take a tank from them, that kind of thing.
All right. Well, it is a suggestion that we welcome. And let me give you a joke. It's a simple joke. I remember, I'm in NOASA 17 years. So there is this friend of mine who, from day one, I was clamoring, girl, you need to get a tank. 17 years later, she does not have a tank. So the other day she called and she said, Jamie, I think the water. I said, no, I ain't making the water truck turn back to give you. No, I told her straight up. I said, you know why?
Yeah.
I said, how long are they in NOASA? She was like, yeah, 17 years. I said, for 17 years, I've been preaching the same story. Yeah. But you see, you know what was her comfort? They never cuss I'm having problems.
Yeah.
But when the problems happen, so the reality, what we telling persons, we understand. You may not be able, because, you know, the reality is that some persons do not have this extra cash available. But make an investment. There are buckets, there are drums. I have a tank. I also have 2 big blue barrels outside my house that I think rainwater so that I could think my yard. I have little buckets inside my house. So, and let me tell you something, them water bottles, I have that all under my sink. Because, and the other day when we had an interruption, all my pots, and I make sure I cook, I wash my wares and my pots, because I ain't taking, I can't explain to Mr. Christopher Husbands how Jamila Samuel is not coming to work today because she has no water. When I'm the one preaching that message for 17 years. So what we tell it, I'm just giving that, I mean, it might sound kicksy, but the reality is that, one, outside of the Molinist situation, we are in a dry season. And the prediction is for a long-term drought. And I was just reading something a while ago, and I'm going to read it. It says, the warning aligned with fears coming from the National Meteorological Service of Belize, which forecasts that the rainy season of 2019 would not bring enough water to reverse the drought conditions experienced. So, if we ain't have enough rain in 2019 and they're saying it's a long-term drought in 2020, you know what that means?
Yep, absolutely.
And we are seeing it. You know, the other day we had some systems that all of a sudden, I'm going to use all of a sudden, we have no water, we have no water. Okay. Was there rains for the past 2 weeks? No. And we want persons to, that is where we always clamor for the need for storage, because outside of a rainy season, outside of a dry season, look at the Maras Hill situation just the other day. Our pipes were compromised, not through NOASA's fault, but it was compromised. Persons did not have water, in some cases 2 to 3 days. So if you don't take it, you know, as your personal responsibility, at the end of the day, you're making life easier for yourself and for your family. You know, you are self-reliant. You know, the reality is that, yes, we know what you're going to say. Oh, NOASA, we need more. Yes, $178 million being realized through a new tariff reform would make all of these possible. What are the realities? The reality is it would not happen today. It would not happen tomorrow. It's a 10-year development plan. Yes, we know NOASA, you are mentioning, we're going to have 10 new storage systems under the GCF project. What is the reality? It's a 5 to 6 year period that these projects are going to be completed. So what we're asking you, meet us halfway. We are willing to meet you, but meet us halfway. And how you can meet us halfway is ensuring that within your homes, you have water stored to at least for the time being 1 week. Because the reality, we ain't know when a system, remember these are 8 systems, you know, and they could just come and say, that's it, it's hard work. And then once it's hard work, then you have another through the entire south, the hotels, all those apartments that are going up every day. Personal storage, personal responsibility, have water to at minimum 1 week.
Well, with that being said, I think it's also important for us to encourage persons to use water wisely.
Exactly.
Because you have people who believe that, well, I can afford to pay my water bill, so I'm washing my car twice a day, I'm scrubbing my yard, you know, I'm washing on my yard with water from the pipe, and these kind of things. And all of that adds to, not because you can afford it, but also take into consideration the limited storage space that we now have
available.
taking into consideration the growth in the population, you know. So I think a lot of these things also need to be communicated and encouraged, that we practice more consideration, because it's really all about
water use
efficiency.
Yes,
I mean, the reality is
there is a
okay,
component
go on.
under the GCF project that speaks to that, with the hotels and taps and schools and health centers as well.
Okay.
I mean, Nawasa is in the business of, I mean, let me tell you something. There are some realities. We are in the business of selling water, you know, because if you use water, but at the end of the day, it comes down to this. While we are in the business of getting persons to use the water supply, once we don't have the water available for our consumers to use, it becomes a greater challenge for us.
Of course.
So that is where the management, and one of the things that we see happening, and we are begging, we are asking, especially those standpipes. Man, these bus drivers, man, our vehicle owners, please, you know, you are not paying, but somebody is paying.
Somebody's paying.
And you know, in essence, me and you are paying our taxpayers, you know, because of the standpipes are paid by the government of Grenada.
Absolutely.
So the reality is that if we are seeing wastage, you know, in the standpipes, you know,
yeah,
we, especially in the dry season, we want persons to think long term, think climate change. Climate change is not next week, huh? It's already on our doorsteps. Yes.
Yeah. I have a question here, and I think it I guess it's going to tie back into what we were just discussing. The person is asking, when would NOASA stop using treated water for hydrants and look at using, hydrants, agriculture, and of course to pump out sewers? When would you consider investing in using untreated water, or running an alternative line in these kinds of situations?
Okay. I remember I heard Mr. Husbands answer that once, and I smiled, and I'm going to answer the way he answered. If you have limited resources coming from the dams, which is, remember, when it comes from the dam, it is not treated. To get to the treatment, it goes to the treatment plant for treatment to get to you. Right? So if you have limited resources coming in from the dam, then we are not able to give a special line for irrigation, for things of this nature, because the reality is that you already have limited supplies. Yes. So there's while we understand, that's why, you know, I remember a few years ago we did a little video. It was in an ad, and there was this farmer from St. Andrew, and he was actually using the river water, you know, the river water downstream, and you know, and he had his own irrigation system, and he was pumping, and you know, I looked at it, I was like, wow, he's not using NOASA supply, because the reality is that, you know, on a whole, we are not able to give a special line because it's the same source from the dam. So if we have to give a special line, then you know what happens?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's basically the same thing.
I could just chip in a bit
and Mr. Marquez,
on the GCF project too. There is a water resources management unit that
will be established. Yeah.
Now extraction, and what you're gonna have pretty soon is that NOASA will be paying for extraction of water from the rivers. Now in your design stage, you can't dam the whole river.
Yes.
Right? You have to leave at least 30% for downstream users under international standard conditions. Right? So this water resources management unit will be actually managing your entire streams and even your groundwater.
Wow. So we have a lot to come.
Yes.
We have a lot to come, and we have to prepare for it. And of course, we have to take into consideration that all of us must be a part of the process. Yes. Now, what I've noticed recently is that NOASA has had a lot of scheduled shutoffs. You'd see sometimes in St. Andrew and St. David recently, they've had some scheduled shutoffs. Do you want to give us an idea as to what these entail?
All right. So a lot of the interruptions we have is because of an age distribution network that pops.
Yes.
This reality, you know, it is rare, and on a monthly basis, in terms of we know we have something that is scheduled. So let us say, for example, like now we have Munich. Munich is under maintenance today tomorrow, and on Wednesday. So it is a maintenance of the dam, of the water treatment plant of the dam.
Right.
So we advise persons in advance. But persons will see, for example, we come and we say the current interruption in your water supply is due to, and persons get upset. Oh, why didn't you tell us before? We can't. Because the pipes don't speak.
Right.
The pipes
You
don't
didn't
tell
know.
us when they are going to pop.
Right.
So what happens is that someone passes by and they call and they say, Nawasa, I pass in and I see a main. If I see water shooting in the air, and then, okay, so are we going to leave that water shooting up in the air? Persons are passing, it is wetting. And we've had a few cases whereby the water was washing down people's house. And when someone said, boy, we could have leave. I said, but how could we leave the water to wash down somebody's house? So in cases like that, the system is shut off without notice to our consumers. It's an unscheduled interruption because the pipes don't speak and the pipes pop. It's an age distribution network, which of course a new tariff reform makes all these fade away within the next 10 years. But once it is scheduled, and that's basically for maintenance of the dams and treatment plants. And then in some cases too, we have scheduled interruption even for network work. You know why? Because the team went and they realized there is a leak on the ground. I can't ding it now because I have to get it back or I have to get whatever. So we schedule that. So we allow it to run and but water wasting years, because if I shut it down, then we'll not be able to get the facilities and the resources one time. You'll be out for 3 days. So we kind of throttle down and we make sure, and then we schedule that. So we tell persons in advance, we are going to have your water, so you're going to have your water supply interrupted on Thursday 8 to 9. This is the period, that is what. But the majority, I'm going to tell you, the reality, the 99.9% of the times, it's because of an age distribution network that we have no control over.
So, just to reinforce what Jamila said now, we have a robust mapping system, department in Nawasa, which has not started too long. Because in the old days, those guys installed those pipes, and they go by memory. We start instituting telemetry logging of data in terms of pressure and flow in your distribution network. So as we speak here presently at the Molyneux site, we have installed a telemetry pressure logger that sends you every 4 hours. You could go online and check your pressure in your pipe. In the event the pressure drop between a certain threshold, it tells you, hey, something happened downstream. Somebody need to shut a valve off. Like just before the landslip, we have a logger right there.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, guys, the lines are open. We're going to take a few calls. The number to call is 440-7377 if you're calling locally. Of course, we do have the WhatsApp messaging system up and running. Remember, you can't make calls, but you can send us a message. It's 440-7377 also. And if you are in the diaspora, it's 347-329-3101. Now, I'm asking for a friend because I have a friend in Mardi Gras who says that she hasn't received water in 2 days. So I'm asking for my friend, what is happening? What is happening in the Mardi Gras area?
Right, so we have, funny enough, I only knew of that interruption today, Naz, when I walked into the studios of HARDTALK, because I was not aware. And because the emergency line, I did not receive any calls on the emergency line about a challenge in the Mardi Gras community. So, you know what, it made me smile because, they had storage at least for the 3-day period. But we were actually not aware. I was not aware. Marquez himself was not aware. When I spoke to the supervisor a while ago, he said that we were having some shortfalls, so they had to shut off that particular system so the system to the tank could be fully charged for distribution. So everything should be normalized at least sometime during the course of the day today. Right. But I'm happy that at least we did not get a lot of calls and Mardi Gras people are heeding to the calls for storage.
But that brings up another point, that how important it is to ensure that the relevant authorities are aware, because sometimes we believe that, okay, I'm not going to say anything because somebody must have called and reported it, and we're all sitting down there thinking that somebody called and reported it when you look at it, nobody has reported anything.
Let me give you a classic case. Last night at 10:13, the emergency line rang, so I answered. And the lady said to me, she said, "Ma'am, I'm calling from conference. You know, we have a bus pipe." I was like, "Okay." I said, "Exactly." Well, she gave me the location. So I said to her, I said, she said, "But you know, I ain't call. You know why I didn't call? I make sure I wash and I full up all my buckets." And she called at 10:13 in the night to say if the people could come and fix the pipe. No. So I paused. I said, "Unfortunately, it is not a reality this hour of the night." And I said, "It would have been nice if you called earlier because the guys were out for the whole day this Sunday." You know, and it just shows that sometimes, and what we also get happening is a person will say, "Well, I thought someone did." Or, you know, I pass and I see it, but I see Mr. John pass and I know Mr. John like to call. So everybody assumes that someone else would have done it. And then when they call, and that is when they say, "Okay, for all these," they say, "Because we have no report on the system because nobody calls." So we ask persons, listen, there are avenues that are available. The emergency line 292 is available. The WhatsApp 4596064 is available. There is our Facebook page. Send us a message. Go Instagram. Go send us a message.
And you know, it's funny. It's funny, Jamila, that you would go to Facebook and post a complaint about NOASA and not tag NOASA in it, not put it on their page or anything like that. So NOASA has absolutely no idea that something is going on.
And the majority of times, it is sometimes 2-3 days, somebody just happen to say, "Did you see that?" And they will send me a screenshot.
Right.
And then by the time we get that, it is because it is resolved. So we're asking persons. Yes, the comments are sometimes really not nice. And we just want persons to be mindful of that as well. And it is something that I always say it hurts my heart because people fail to realize that there are individuals behind these pages.
Yeah.
So once you cuss someone obscenities or you say, you make derogatory languages that is really not nice, it is somebody behind the page. It's not just an automatic machine that types and said, "Okay, I receive." And we want persons to be mindful of that as well. And we understand crisis and don't, sometimes I tell people, don't get me wrong, I understand what you're going through. I understand. But when you call and you call the emergency line, and you're cussing us at a bad word, and what do you expect an officer to do? Do you expect them to respond? So we say nothing, and then and then I say you're not answering us. But what do you expect us to say? We understand, and we want persons also when you post, you know, be mindful because there are people behind those pages. The pages cannot respond themselves.
Absolutely. We have a caller, first caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine and dandy like American brandy. Everything good?
Everything's good, Mr. Mills. How was Carriacou this morning?
Carriacou is just hot and sunny.
Mills from Carriacou.
All you getting rain?
No rain. I say hot and sunny.
Don't worry. Pray for the rain. It's going to come.
Yeah, but you see, let me say something. Before I start, do you know it's a concrete water tank?
Mm-hmm.
All right, do you know what's a concrete water tank?
What's a concrete water tank?
Mm-hmm. A cistern.
A cistern. Yeah.
Yeah, we have one in the yard right here.
Mm-hmm.
We get water from the spout run from the house. So when the rain come, I go down in the tank and it full of water. It's a 9 feet square right around, so water don't really done here. It finish here easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it mark from the bottom 1 to 10 go right up to the top. So we when we were taking water, we watch how we do it. We monitor how we take it using the water.
Of course.
So water don't go in Carriacou by minute. We always have water. If we find the water going down low, we get a trunk and we put 2 steel tank on top of the truck.
Mm-hmm.
And it come close to the yard and we use a pump and pump in 2 tank of water. And when I pump in a 2 steel tank of water in it, they almost full it up and that's how we get the water.
That's good.
Yes, sometimes we go by the school or something, some government place we have a lot of water. Over our neighbor we have a lot of water and we beg them for 2 tank of water. And we come close to the concrete water tank on a truck. From the truck with a big hose and we pump it inside the tank in the yard.
All right. So
that's
y'all have it covered in Carriacou. We not to worry about all that. Y'all have it covered in Carriacou. We not to worry.
You don't have to worry so much about it. It's good. So we monitor it or we take it. If we see we're taking too much and it drop down a little, we just get a lot of doing. And we get a tank and we pay a truck to pump in a tank. We go by one of them school and we beg the headmaster for a tank of water. So some friend, and we asked him for 2 tanks of water, and we put the 2 tank, steel tank, on top of a truck, and the truck come right by the yard. We'll use a pump, and we pump in the water inside the wall tank in the yard.
Okay.
So that's how we get to water in the dry season sometimes.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing. I hope that what you've shared with us, Mr. Mills, could work for a lot of us Grenadians here today.
All right, then. Yeah, so you all have a fantastic day, and I'm listening, enjoying the program 100%.
All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mills. Just one observation in Carriacou during the, was it 207 drought? I asked one of the young ladies, she works at the Limle agriculture station, how they handle it, and she said to me when she was washing, the best washing machine to buy is a twin tub. She washed the white clothes first, and she used the last water, she rinsed the white clothes in to start to wash the colored clothes. And I learned a lot from that.
Good point. Yeah, it's true. Yes.
So have a good day.
Yes, you too have a fantastic
All right.
as well.
All right. That's something a lot of us don't really take into consideration. Carriacou doesn't have any natural source of water, and they have been functioning like that forever.
Yes, they do. But right now we are on the ground in Carriacou. We have a small distribution network in Hillsborough, which has about 72 customers. Now the 5 Cs, which is the Caribbean Community for Climate Change in Belize, has partnered with the Ministry of Carriacou and PT Mandic Affairs and NAWASA to build the first ever desalination saltwater reverse osmosis plant at Carriacou and one at PT Mandic. The one at Carriacou is at the order of 80,000 US gallons per day, and PT Mandic is 30,000 gallons per day. And presently, the 5Cs has found additional money, which is $1.2 million US on the climate change resilience and adaptation project. We'll be siting a second plant at Windwater.
Yes. Wow.
And the project has been approved, and we are on the ground working on the pipes. We are extending our distribution network from 6 roads all the way to Hermitage.
So, Mr. Mills, I hope you're listening to that, That's good news for Carriacou. But they have been, I've spent a lot of time in Carriacou as a child, and I very much remember having to go in the cistern and get your bucket of water and so on to do whatever it is you have to do. And they have been functioning like that for a very long time because they understand the situation that they are in, and they've been very accepting towards it and doing, as he said, you could go by a neighbor with more water than you and ask for some water, and that just goes to show that they have been considerate to their issue and understood that, NAWASA is working in their favor, so very soon they wouldn't have that problem, and they've found ways to really deal with the shortfall. No fault of theirs, no fault of NAWASA's, just
I remember the first time I went to Carriacou, I saw these houses, so the base is I was like, what? And then I was told this is water. So the top is the pretty house, the pretty veranda, everything, and the base is water. And I was like amazed. And I remember it was last year October when I went for the Hillsborough Secondary School award ceremony. NAWASA is a sponsor, and the guy from the office was driving me through to see, and every home I passed, even though those that didn't have the cisterns, where the cisterns is part of the house, they had a water storage tank. Yeah. And I was like, wow. Yeah. Why can't us in Grenada adopt this, this mindset?
I think it's because we've become comfortable with the fact that we can turn our pipes on.
Turn on, yeah.
And there's water coming out.
There is water.
There's water coming out. I think that's one of our biggest problems, that we've become comfortable in our situation, so that we just feel that it's NAWASA's job to have water in our pipes 24/7, and if they don't, then it's a problem. But we have to face the reality that, one, the system has to be upgraded. We have to look at it from the point of view that our population has grown, but our storage has not. It's like living in a 2-bedroom house, and over the years you have acquired 10 children. Of course, the space is no longer enough. But we have to come to that reality, and then we also have to be very, very considerate of the fact that even though you can afford to pay for your water, there is somebody somewhere in your line that is not getting water or will not get water as a result of what you are doing. So we have to be more mindful of that, and of course have to understand the fact that in order for us to upgrade the systems that have been around for eons, we have to all be a part. We have to be accepting to the fact that, you know, we've got to pay a little bit more for a little bit more quality.
And you speaking about population growth, right? Statistically, I think it was about 1.2%. I was doing a design one time for a distribution network, and one of the main considerations you have to take into now is firefighting.
Yes.
Bushfires. Right? You know how much water does the firemen draw down during a fire? So that's a big challenge as well. And you see more fires now.
Yeah.
Than before.
Okay. Comment on the live video is asking that they've noticed that there are some standpipes that have been taken out around some areas, and there are certain places where there are standpipes, but it's more in the rural areas of the country. So why doesn't each community at least have one standpipe?
Right. So having standpipes removed totally is something that we can't do. Because remember, NAWASA use those standpipes for testing purposes of our water as well. And then the reality is that we can't go and remove a standpipe, and there are persons in those communities that don't have their own personal water storage network. So the government of Grenada, under the social safety net program, you know, were able to, you know, have persons have the connections and have persons, they make the monthly payment, like we call it the government assistance for the needy program,
right,
whereby they are able to pay for the water supply for consumers. They obviously, yes, there is a cap, so you know, they cannot go over that particular period. So we just cannot remove a standpipe, even though we're seeing wastage.
However, there is provision in the Act.
In the Act, NAWASA Act, yes.
Right, once deemed abuse.
Yes.
Right.
Because I can tell you, just going around the area, that I mean, people washing vehicles by standpipe, assisting damage in the road pavement.
Yes.
Right.
If you look, I will call one area by Porcelain Road there. Every minute, Ministry of Works had to spend tons of dollars fixing that.
And there's
road.
also one in Latant.
Right.
Lantern,
so there is provision in the Act for removal of standpipe.
But I think more importantly in what you've said is that in the event that a standpipe is removed, there are provisions made by Government of Grenada to assist persons in
social safety net.
We cannot remove a standpipe in a community where persons have no form of their own personal
Right. And of course, in the event, because you as NAWASA would not know everyone in the community who doesn't have water, and in the event that you guys deem it necessary to remove it, then they can go ahead and apply to Government of Grenada to get.
Over the years, the government of Grenada was partnering with the social aspect of it. People was going around doing surveys.
Yes, remember the Financial Complex Limited is an entity established by government, so they are the ones that are responsible for the management of all standpipes. So one of the things that they do their own community assessment. So they would go through the community, they would highlight if there is a person that does not have their own personal water system, water supply network, and they will be able to partner with the government of Grenada, obviously, because they are an entity of the government, and partner with NAWASA. But there are areas that I know persons have clamored, why don't you take out the water? We can't. Even though it is a sign there is an abuse, because there are area locations where our team goes out and they have to do the testing of the water supply network. But that is why we always tell persons, please, we want you to be mindful as well. Don't abuse our standpipes, because even though it is not under NAWASA in terms of the management of it, NAWASA's Act
allows
of 99 allows us, and you know what can happen? They can be charged $1,000, 3 months imprisonment, or both. So that's why, you know, sometimes I pass the last my person, I said, please just stop, and the guy cussed me. I was like, okay. report it, then there is a possibility that you could be charged $1,000 or 3 months imprisonment or both. The NAWASA Act covers that.
So guys, I hope that you're listening. There are provisions available for you as well to do your civic duty and report these abuses, because they don't just affect NAWASA, they affect us. You know, because when this water is wasted like that, it means that there's a possibility somewhere down the line that we, the consumers, get less as a result.
And then also what we want persons to be mindful of, is that, you know, how much it pains me. I was passing yesterday and I saw a standpipe where the head is damaged.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to me, oh my God, it is available in your community for use. At least treat it, you know, the way you would treat the pipe in your home. So what happens is that they will damage a pipe, and we see children and even adults. You'll be amazed, you know. The adults are the ones that abuse those sandpipes, and then they just leave it running. And yesterday, so I had to end up calling the Grenfell team, and I said, listen, I'm passing, and they had to go and try to lock it off because we can't have the water running, you know, whole day, whole night. No.
Yeah.
So we're asking persons to, while we don't want you to abuse it, you know, by washing your vehicles and abusing it, but also be mindful of, even if you got to use it, please be mindful of how, you know, you treat that particular device.
Right, and then in a situation like that, you have some family that has been displaced as a result of it being locked off. So it all goes back to being considerate. Now, we know that there is a dry season upon us that is going to be a bit more challenging than the one before. Now, I live in Mount Morris, and I must say that I really never struggle for water. Very rarely. I mean, it's not that NAWASA doesn't shut off the water in my area. What happens is whenever they do, luckily enough, I have Nazim who always puts out a release or shares a release that
on your behalf. And Nazim?
That NAWASA needs to start paying Nazim, contract him to help share the message, because he generally always puts it out. So I always know when there's a scheduled shut off, and even in the event that there isn't, I have a tank, so I'm not worried when it comes to that. But I know that during the dry season, the last dry season, there were a few people who were really, really very displaced, especially in the St. Paul's area. They struggled a bit as it relates to water. And of course, we haven't recovered from that because we have not had a very active or robust rainy season. And then we are going into another very active dry season. So what is NAWASA doing in terms of, I know we're spreading the message, let's store water. Even if we begin storing water from now, maybe you'll take us through half of the dry season, you know, and get us a little bit more prepared. But what is NAWASA really doing to combat this issue?
All right, so the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology, in its January bulletin, highlighted that Grenada, Antigua, Belize, Cuba, Dominican Republic, Guadeloupe are countries being warned of potential long-term drought. Barbados, Belize, the ABC Islands, Bonaire, Curacao, Puerto Rico, and they are among the other Caribbean territories that are under warning for short-term drought. You know, sometimes I read it and others have to kind of laugh. You know why I laugh? I'm laughing, not a good laugh, you know. It's a sad laugh. Because I remember last year, and Mr. Marquez is here, sometimes twice, 3 times a month, at least once a week, Mr. Husbands calls a dry season meeting. Every week. We get an assessment. Every day, we get a report from the Production and Quality Department that tells us how our water systems are faring. And every time we go to the meeting, we're wondering what next.
Oh no.
What next? Because the reality is the reality that we don't want to face. As individuals, not as an organization.
Right.
As individuals, that climate change is real. And the reality is this. We have already started our dry season dialogue since last year. And we have not stopped. Because even in a rainy season condition, it was more dry season conditions.
Wow.
Yes, there are times we have a lot of rainfall and people, but when we think about the rain that falls, as I always tell people, can it fall? If you put a big drum outside, do you think, how long does it take for that drum to be filled by the rain? So imagine it's coming from Nawassa, whereby we had to have adequate water coming in to supply thousands of consumers served by a particular water system. And the reality with a long-term drought, it basically tells us that it can be business as usual. It can't be business as usual. Now more than ever. And I'm saying it again, but this time with a little more compassion, because honest to God, it hurts. And you know why it hurts? Because it is something that we preach every year, and people leave it up to Nawassa to provide. We can't give you the quantity. We can't have the reliability that you require. Every one of us would want to get up a day when we have nobody calling to say, I have no water in Labrie, I have no water in Marquis, I have no water in Chantemel, I have no water in Bonnet, I have no water. But the reality is that it's not possible. So what is most important now? Long-term drought. When is the last time you had rains by you?
Oh God, I don't even remember.
Nassim, when is the last time you had rain in Annandale? How much rain?
Drizzle.
Exactly.
And then most of it goes underground.
It goes underground, yeah.
In addition to your question with St. Paul's. St. Paul's heading south is fed by Les Avocats.
Yes, Avocats.
And PTA tank system.
Mm-hmm.
Now what you do have in the mountain up there is that the vegetation, there's a lot of Blue Maho. It's sort of forest reserve area. And it has been said that Blue Maho sucks up a lot of water. And under the GCF project, there is one of the components for constructing a major earth dam in the terms of between 500 to 600 million gallons of water. Right, so after that 6-year period of that project, you will not see, or maybe you may see, very minimal disruption in your water. Now, construction of these earth dams is that you have to try and minimize your surface area because you get intense temperature now, and you don't want loss of water by evapotranspiration. Now, I always take pattern from the Mona Dam. Like if I call guys up there and say, how you looking now? Is we dry season here? They'll tell you they're very low because it's a 3-mile jog around that dam. So imagine 3 miles in a circle.
And Mona is in Barbados?
No, Jamaica.
Oh, Jamaica.
Jamaica Mona Dam. And they find at early in the dry season, they find like you have that water level keep dropping, and lots of it is lost during evapotranspiration.
Right. Yeah. And I was looking at not only that, I have friends in Barbados that, of course, Barbados has no natural water
either. It depends on groundwater.
So they depend a lot on
aquifers. And they use they're pumping groundwater.
And he's already saying to me, listen,
there are low levels.
We are having it tough in Barbados.
If you don't have rain to go and recharge the aquifer, you have problems.
Wow.
I went to Barbados last year, and imagine I'm in a guest house. And that is when I said, you know what? Notwithstanding we have challenges, that's when I appreciate my little rock Grenada, I'm in a guest house where I'm paying how much money US a night, and the lady saying to me, I'm begging you, please, use it, don't use much water. And I smiled, and so she watched me, and she was like, you're not going to quarrel? I was like, no. So she was like, why not? I said, you know why? I work in the water company in Grenada, and I understand exactly what she says. Listen, she said, you know how much? She said, we ain't having water. And it was a wake-up call for me, because I'm saying, I'm going in a guest house. I could, if I want to lull off. But and it was a stark reality I had with, my kids were with me, and I had to tell them, listen, Jaden, my son, Mommy, I said, Jaden, just how we do it home, let's do it here, because it's water. And, when I left, I remember the lady said to me, her name is June Haynes, and she said, you know what? She said, thank you. Because she said, believe me, people don't see it. I said, I understand. Because I work in an industry that is challenged, you know. And I mean, when Marcus will tell you, Grenada nice, you know. When we hear, Grenada nice, believe me. When you hear the data and the statistics from the other countries, I went to St. Lucia last year in a workshop, and I'm telling you, when I hear this, I was like, oh, you know. Yeah.
You know, we
makes you appreciate.
We do not appreciate what we have until we hit some bad time.
Yeah.
And then we say, what? Well, we have it good.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Barbados, they do only pumping. Because groundwater is extracted from the ground.
Yeah.
And the cost for electricity, they try to pass the cost on to the customers, you know what happens? We here depend on high mountainous regions, gravity. We have 2 or 3 boreholes in the Shemin side, Shemin Calivini area, and we try to minimize this pumping because we can pass that cost on to you and say, okay, get a further increase on your bill.
Can't.
Grenadians wouldn't like it.
And sometimes I could give you the reality. Grenlec will call us and ask us if we have a problem, and the reason why they call, when they see that electricity bill goes below $90,000 a month, I could tell you that.
Yes.
They will call you and ask, hey, you have a problem? You know, no, we're just trying to move water from the west to the eastern side.
I'm more concerned about the $90,000 a month that you just mentioned.
Of course. This is reality.
That's just electricity.
You have a pump running
area.
exactly 24/7, 24 hours a day, 360.
Wow. So we really, and you see, this is information that people don't really know. So they just figure, I mean, it's probably a general misconception with a lot of people. They just figure all NOASA has to do is to ensure that the water gets to the dam, treat the water, ensure a piping bus, and, you know, and they figure that that's just about it.
Do you know how much money we spent last year alone for road reinstatement because of an 8 distribution network? $1.6 million a supplier got just to fix the road. And you want to know why? Because it's the same thing that a tariff reform, a rate increase makes possible. If your pipes are underneath the ground, I remember somebody said, why don't you put it over like a pole, like a cigarette? How we gonna put it? And I had to laugh. I mean, to me, it was a funny joke. How do you expect the pipes to be? I was like, okay, it can't. And people say, why do you put them under the road? Marcus will tell you, we put them under the road because it's the same vehicles and the big trucks that are going to bust them. And then every day you're going to have a report of leak. And when we look, we pay $1.6 million just to repair roads that we have to dig up, you know, because of an 8 distribution network. So within the next 10 years, once we are able to fix the network, then you know what? Less you quarreling now. I said dig up the road and you don't fix the road and you go damage my vehicle. Less complaints.
It's building resilience into projects now. And then adaptation to climate change.
Well, when you hear about that $1.6 million, it makes you feel bad for saying, well, I like to dig up the road, because that's something that almost everybody has said. No, I'm still waiting for a new stretch of road to put down.
No, what is happening and what normally happens is that whenever the government is going to do a new road, they actually put in budgetary allocation for replacing the pipeline. It's like now the St. Patrick's Road Rail Net project from where you call Googlebilly Hill all the way to Pointsfield. They're replacing 4 bridges. And we have already done the bypass pipes for them, which is temporary works.
Right.
And they will be doing the road shortly after. So the critical component of this is ordering the pipes, which is about 3-4 months. A supplier doesn't have pipes waiting for it, right? So we are going to put a new pipeline under that road as well.
Wow. And of course, you guys heard, NOASA doesn't just sit there waiting on our government to put on $1.6 million is a lot to spend a year in road repair.
Electricity was like $2.4 million a year.
Yeah.
And that's for pumps.
Yeah, just for
it's
pumps.
It's a lot, and if we have, it'll be nice if we can have that kind of information beforehand so we can let people know, because I think we like to know the nitty-gritty, the in-depth, because when you look at it just on the surface, it looks like it's okay, well, NOASA has nothing to do, they've never given us water, we always never have water, or the water is coming. And that's another thing that I probably want you guys to just make quick mention of. Generally, when there's no water in the pipe, or when there's a scheduled shut-off or whatever it may be, when the water comes through, it's a little dirty.
And that's because of the age infrastructure, the internal linings of the pipe. Now, 60 years ago, it was cast iron pipes.
Right.
And there's what you call tuberculation happening in pipes. When water goes, you have ingress of oxygen.
Right.
So it combines with that water, and over a period of time, there is what you call incrustation in that pipe. So that water comes back with such a high velocity, it actually scurs into the pipe. It's like when heavy rain falls and you see the river come down, the velocity increase.
Right.
So it actually scores those pipes. So what we do on age systems now, we start putting in washouts at specific locations.
Okay.
So you have guys going out there and actually opening those washout valves and make sure water goes out with until it runs, until it flows a little clean. And you may have a guy doing testing one time for you.
And that's good to know, because we have had a lot of instances where, and that's why I think social media is definitely going to be the death of us one day, because you would have instances where people would put out on social media, oh, look, give us back water after 5 days, and the water is dirty, and nobody really takes the time to understand why this is happening. It's not that you guys purposefully have dirty water lingering in the tanks and so on.
And the other aspect of that is that we have air valves on the system that actually evacuate some of the air. However, you open your tap and you may see the water cloudy and people say it's chlorine. It's not chlorine.
It's air.
Because water is 1 molecule of hydrogen, 2 molecules of oxygen. And you have that separation happening there. So that's what you see there. If you fill that glass and leaves it for a while, you're going to see it's crystal clear.
Right.
It's just dissolved oxygen that's in the water.
But that's good to know, because I used to call it chlorine too.
No, it's not.
It's not. And do you know what I always tell people? And let me break it down nice for you. You go on the beach, the wave comes in, and it breaks on the shore, and it
right.
Same
thing. See, important information to know.
So effectively, going back to that dirty water, your effective pipe diameter has been reduced. So a 6-inch pipe may installed 20-40 years ago, it goes down to about almost a 2-inch pipe.
Right.
Now, the technology has gone thus far that there is a concrete lining inside the pipe that is actually inert to the chlorine installed. And there's new pipes you're getting with a epoxy liner, food grade epoxy liner as well. So that's how the pipes are coming now. So you wouldn't actually find that in a concrete line pipe.
So ultimately, once we have gone through how many years it takes to get that system up and running, then we would see the problem just fizzling out. Okay, great. And then of course we have to take into consideration that you guys don't have a map of where every single
definitely we're in the process of mapping.
So that is why remember when I highlighted
based on
the
memory
benefits of a new tariff reform, we said the mapping of all water system and sewage systems.
That's wonderful. Well, guys, we have talked for an entire hour and a half.
That's the longest I've talked in a long time.
But there's only one thing that I want us to really talk about or to mention quickly before we close is the drought season. What are you advising people to do? What plans are you guys putting in place? And how can we as a population really help in achieving that goal?
All right. So last year when we had the dry season, what we did is that we placed water tanks in critical areas. We had in Labrie, in Guankai, and those are the communities that basically were challenged because of their network. So those tanks remain on the ground, and they would be, reopened, should I say. And so persons will be able to get to those storage facilities. There was about 3 in Guankai. It was 3 1,000 gallon, and I think there were 2 1,000 gallon in Labrie area. So persons, if they don't have water via their pipeline, the water trucks come and they fill those tanks, and persons are able to get water. What we are asking persons to be mindful of this is that we are in the dry season. The prediction is for long-term drought. We don't have much rains, as persons are quite aware. The effects of climate change is upon us and will continue to be upon us. So what we asking persons now more than ever is, one, have storage, your personal storage. Don't say NAWASA is obligated. We are obligated to provide you with water. It is your responsibility as a homeowner, as a consumer, to ensure that you have water within your homes. And how you can assist NAWASA by having water within your homes is to ensuring that once NAWASA provides you with a supply, you are able to store at minimum now for 1 week. That is our call, at minimum now for 1 week. What we are also asking persons is that even while you store, be mindful how you manage that supply, because persons in some cases, they do store, and when they store, they use it, they waste it. They're not mindful of how they use it. So we're asking persons to be mindful of that as well. And also what we are asking persons is, one, assist us by reporting leaks, because the majority of the times, we what we call this, Marcus, unaccounted for water.
The unaccounted for water,
non-revenue water, and it's usually very high. So if it is, you can report a leak. Yes, I know you may say I report it and I ain't get it fixed for a day or two, but at least we are aware of it. There are priorities. We can't have water washing down somebody's home and we have to turn a blind eye to this and we just have to go no. So we're asking persons is to report leaks as much as possible, that we are able to have those leaks repaired in the soonest possible time. But our call for the remainder of the dry season, outside of the dry season, in the dry season, storage at minimum 1 week, 35 gallons of water per person per day.
All right, wonderful. Well, it has absolutely been a pleasure. Do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to make?
Well, I would say thank you for welcoming me. It's my first.
This is first on HARDTALK.
On HARDTALk.
Yeah.
Well, it's always a pleasure. I'm sure it's not going to be your last.
No, certainly
and
not.
to the listening public, we just want to echo our sentiments. It's the peak of the dry season coming in, and we're looking forward to being vigilant.
Okay. All right, guys, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Of course, I hope that all of the information that you would have gathered here would be used for your education and information purposes, and you won't keep it to yourself. You share it with others. Remember, NAWASA is on Facebook, so you can always respectfully report your problems there, report your concerns there. And of course, Jamila, what's that number again for
so the emergency line is 292 or 4350715, and the WhatsApp number is 4596064.
All right, so you have those numbers there. You have an emergency, you have a broken or a leaking pipe in your community. It's your responsibility to go ahead and report that. And of course, if you are not seeing water for 2 and 3 days, say something. Don't wait until 3 days has passed and just assume that it's normal for NAWASA to take your water. Find out, all right? It's always a pleasure being here with you, and whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe, be secure. We always want to be talking with you and never about you. Enjoy the remainder of your day.
The Spring Garden water system serves 2 constituencies, St. Andrew Southeast and St. Andrew Southwest. This facility, constructed under NAWASA's capital development portfolio, is geared towards improving storage capacity and addressing water quality concerns. This beautiful structure before us boasts of a sedimentation tank, water tank, operators' quarters, and storage room. This is supported by a pipe distribution network from the tank to supply water to existing individuals' homes with a daily water production at 250,000 gallons. What is important to note is that this was achieved under NAWASA's Capital Investment Program. Through this program, NAWASA acceded to the call of the government of Grenada for investment in the island's water sector by investing the $12 million debt servicing by the government of Grenada to capital development projects.
Now that we have this, it's a great thing for the community and other surrounding.
I feel happy. I feel good. Because like when rain coming, the waters get dirty, just cut it off. and it used to be a problem for us, but now, thanks to Nawasa, we don't have that problem anymore.
Yes, it's a very nice project. We used to go and collect water in the river and pipe stands by the side of the road. And everything, but now it's different. Everybody have a little water home. It will make a good difference because it's up on the top of a hill and then we're getting everything that we want down the road.
Internally generated funds from a new tariff reform make more of these possible.
Infrastructure Minister and technical team visit Molineux and Montmorris to conduct assessment for possible bypass road ahead of CDB visit. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news for Friday, January 24th, 2020, I am Sharian Noel. Minister for Infrastructure, Honorable Gregory Boeing, on Friday led a team of engineers from his ministry, representatives from physical planning, along with residents of Montmorris and Molineux, to look at key areas outside of the fault line in Molineux to come up with the best possible alternative for a bypass route or new secondary road in the area. The visit was key as a proposal has to be put forward identifying the best solutions to the bypass roads to representatives of the Caribbean Development Bank who are expected on the island on Monday. The technical visit came after a meeting on Tuesday evening with residents of the area to update them on the rapid slippage on a section of the Molineux Main Road.
This alternative could be a component of the bypass road plus a new piece of road or entirely new concept with respect to the roads. That's why we have with us here people who know the area, our engineers, so that we can get a first proposal. The Caribbean Development Bank team will be visiting with us on Monday, so we must have a proposal to show to them because we have asked them for assistance with respect to the bypass roads.
The repairs to the main road remains under the UK SIF project. However, there is an immediate need to have a proposal in place for an alternative for the CDB's visit.
While we have $16 million, which it appears will be totally insufficient at this point in time, we are concentrating on the bypass road to have a more safe and a friendly route for people traversing from the north to the south of the island. So we are here and the team will be visiting so that the people in the area could say, yes, this is a good road. We'll know who the owners are. So that in short order, we can find and complete the proposal.
Okay, so you're dealing strictly with the Molineux area or are you going through other points in Montmorris and so?
Well, the alternative must be other areas. Since we're going to bypass, we want somewhere you can start outside of the fault on the one side of the fault and end on the other side of the fault. So most likely it will be starting higher up in Molineux, going through Montmorris and coming out at a lower point in Montmorris. That's what we're looking at. So as I said, it could be a combination of some existing roadways plus new bits for the alternative route.
Civil engineer in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Lyndon Bullen, told the GIS the technical visit is crucial and the inclusion of residents who are familiar with the area was key in them having a better understanding of the area.
We have been in consultation with residents of the area. We got a chance to hear some of their concerns, some of the suggestions, and so we're going to try to utilize that when we try to find solutions in terms of improving the roadway. We know it's a problem not only for the people in the community, but also for the road users as well. So it helps us to optimize the solutions that we can propose in terms of alleviating the stresses on the street of Montmorris, the bypass, and possibly finding alternative routes to bypass the Molineux area.
Bullen also used the opportunity to update on the progress of procuring materials to upgrade the Montmorris road, especially in areas that are deemed treacherous.
Right now, we're doing something more for emergency nature. So we're going to see, as best as possible, how much works can be done within that period to clear the traffic problems we're having at Mount Morris. So within the next 3 months, we will see a lot of works being done. We actually started acquiring some posts for guardrails. There are areas we see where we can widen. We can change the type of drains in the areas from box drains to slipper. And these are some of the works that we plan on taking on within the next few weeks.
Junior Phillips, resident of Mount Morris and builder by profession, who has knowledge of the Molyneux area where the fault has occurred that is causing rapid land movement, has given off his time to take the team on a tour of possible areas that can be used for the bypass.
Knowing the terrain in Mount Morris and the particular area that we're dealing with, some people are suggesting that an easy fix could be done by cutting the area by Charlie's Bar and doing another road, which would not make any sense because the complete hill from Molyneux all the way up to Mount Morris by Mr. Leo Dowden is a gravel hill, and all the way around to Molyneux. So to find an alternative route through that, it definitely will have to be through Mount Morris. So I would like to take the fellas on a visit to the top, because I already know the bottom, so they could see the complete terrain that we're dealing with and know that if we touch that gravel hill for any short route, we'll be opening a can of worms.
As a contractor slash builder, you would have constructed homes. Well, we normally call that area over the plateau, and that is a particular area that you are going to take them to. What can you say about the soil type and so?
Well, I built 3 houses and it's all gravel. All the foundations are basically had to be designed to fit on the gravel bed, and hence my knowledge is firsthand as to what's in the area.
Residents are urged to stay away from the fault area and await the conclusion of the geotechnical studies, which will give a clear indication as to the cause of the movement. Moving along, 250 Grenadians will be employed with the Royalton Grenada Resort and Spa when it commences operations March 1st, 2020. The hotel chain is staging a 3-day job fair in Grandlands, giving Grenadians the opportunity to be screened and interviewed for various positions. The Royalton is the latest addition to the hotel chain in Grenada, with 269 luxury suites and a prime beachfront location. It will be managed and operated by Blue Diamond Resorts as part of a new strategic alliance with Rex Resorts, the former owners and operators of the Grenadian Hotel. The job fair started on Thursday and will end on Saturday.
Right now we are offering 500 positions because we are going to open in March 1st, and then we are going to split this hiring process in 2 phases. We are going to hire 250 people starting in February 1st, and then we are going to hire another 250, and as the season goes up we will be hiring more people. So we are looking forward to have a very good partnership with Grenadian people and to start making a very good and strong relationship with the country.
Corporate Organizational Development Manager Blanca Guerrero Ramirez says she anticipates the growth of each employee through talent development training.
The past 2 days have been great. We have witnessed a lot of talented Grenadian people coming with impressive resumes, and some of them have hospitality experience and some of them do not have hospitality experience. But we truly believe in talent development, you know. We are a company that map the talent, and we have a very strong path to develop our people to better positions. And one of our goals in human resources is to make sure that we can send them to other properties in other countries with better positions. So this is a strategy that comes for talent and culture. This is how we name our HR area, and we are having a lot of success. So we are very excited to include Grenadian people in this concept and maybe see them in other properties with better positions soon.
90 applicants were successful on Thursday. Livon Pierre, Mary Wise and Akisha Benjamin are all thankful for the opportunity to be employed with the Royalton Resort and Spa.
I'm always open to the negative and the positive, so whether or not I didn't get approved, I would have just find something else to move on to, try to empower myself to develop myself into the tourism industry. At the Royalton, I'll be a butler at the Diamond Club, I'm pretty much excited. This helped me to empower myself, be more confident, and achieve great things.
Well, it feels good to be coming back to the Rialta and to be working. I feel real good and exciting to work with them again. That would be good coming to work here as a waitress.
Any open vacancies they have, I'm willing to apply or fill any vacancies. I have 4 years experience in the hotel industry. I work as a laundry attendant for 4 years. I feel great to see a lot of young people here today getting an opportunity to explore their talents.
This is the National Report. More news after the break.
8 p.m. sharp. 8 p.m. sharp. Saturday, January 25th at the Sutters Bus Terminal. It's the final of the National Celebrations Comedy Independence Calypso Monarch Competition 2020. 11 artists have been selected to challenge the reigning monarch, Show Nas, the Sour Support. Admission free. Come out in your numbers and witness for yourself. Will Sour Support hold on to his reign, or will Rootsman Kelly, Teacher Eddie, Hawks, Stunner, Sina, Gun, Katura, The Reporter, Denson, Professor Shaggy, or Royalty rise to the occasion? Only time will tell. Remember the date, Saturday, January 25th, 8 p.m. Sutters Bus Terminal. It's the final of the Independence Calypso Competition.
Welcome back. The First Caribbean International Bank continues to embark on raising awareness with the Grenada Cancer Society and the Pink Ribbon Society. On Wednesday, the bank donated 43,500 EC dollars that was raised from the Walk for the Cure. This is to enable the organizations to spread awareness for cancer. On September 25, 2019, the Walk for the Cure was launched. This activity is done annually. Country Manager of the CIBC, Mr. Nigel Oliver, in his brief remarks, said that the end of 2019 program does not signify an end to cancer awareness.
I will hasten to say thank you to everyone who participated in this year's activity. I think the records show that we had about 400 persons walk in, and we had we were able to raise $43,500, which will go to the Cancer Society and the Pink Ribbon Society by way of a presentation later on in the program, to allow them to continue to work towards improving that space in terms of early detection, prevention, cure, and education. Today's handover, while Linda suggested that it is a cause to celebrate and marks the end of period in terms of what we have done for this last year's program. We should not allow it, though, to mark the end of our drive and focus to improve and educate, prevent, detect, and treat cancer. Instead, it should set in motion for the efforts for us to be able to forge forward and redouble the efforts in terms of how well we're fighting cancer.
$29,000 was donated to the Cancer Society. Earl Charles from the Grenada Cancer Society expressed his gratitude to the bank. He assured them that the money will be used in an efficient manner.
With regard to the donation we have just received, I just want to assure the bank that we are planning in a very detailed way in terms of how we spend whatever funds we receive from the public. In that regard, with regard to the assistance to patients, we are trying to coordinate assistance to patients with the Pink Ribbon and the Ministry of Health to ensure that assistance goes to where it is most needed and it will be most effective.
The Pink Ribbon Society was given $14,500. Frederica Cummins from the Pink Ribbon Society is also grateful for the contribution.
I would like to say a sincere thank you to First Caribbean Bank, the management and staff, especially the team that organized the Walk for the Cure. We are happy to be involved. They have involved us in the walk and to help us with getting some of the donations that was raised. It will go a long way to helping patients with cancer. As you know, cancer is a very expensive disease to treat. And it will go a long way to those who cannot afford.
And with this, we come to the end of the National Report for Friday, January 24th, 2020. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sherry Noel, thanking you for viewing.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.